Hello and welcome to iTutorus. My name is Ryan Inglis and I'm here to show you a few exercises to use your acoustic guitar not only as a guitar but as a percussion instrument as well. Being able to accompany yourself as a solo performer can really add that dimension needed to entertain an audience. So first things first, where do I hit the guitar? I would like to start by getting you to think about the various parts of a standard drum kit. In this lesson, we're going to focus on the kick and the snare, and we are trying to emulate something of the sound as well as the function. Our first port of call is the bass, or kick drum. The kick drum creates a deep thumping sound, and to emulate this on the guitar, we hit the instrument at a place between the sound hole and the bridge on the closest side, using the ball of your right hand at a roughly 45-degree angle. The role of the kick drum, with its low tones, is to create a rhythmic anchor. A good place to start is to play 4 simple beats. When strumming, you must flick with your fingers rather than strum from the wrist, so your hand stays where it needs to be. So let's try that too. With an E major chord, try flicking a simple rhythm, a semi-breve, over 4 beats, like this example. You should note that as your hand moves towards the body of the guitar, your fingers open outwards to create the strum. Okay, next, let's try a minim, so half notes or 2 quarter note beats, and then crotchets, quarter notes or 1 chord for every quarter note beat. The next step would be to try quaver notes, 1 down and 1 up strum per beat. Here are a couple of ideas to try. By placing strums in a few select places, you can start to create a more pleasing rhythm. Come up with your own ideas over 4 beats. And you could also maybe try putting 2 of these ideas together to make another one over 8 beats, and so on. The important thing to bear in mind is that you must maintain a steady rhythm. Okay, so the snare. Now let's talk about the snare, which usually happens in between kick drum beats. For example, over 4 quarter note beats, you'd expect to hear something like this. The sound of the snare drum is more of a high frequency sound and provides a contrast to the kick. And there are numerous ways to achieve this, but we will start by tapping the other side of the sound hole with the tips of your fingers, with your fingertips facing upwards. Let's start again with the standard alternating pattern as before. You could also try adding a couple of strums into the mix to spice things up. With this technique of achieving the snare sound, it's only really possible to strum where the kick occurs due to the position of your right hand. Okay, if you now flick the fingernails against the scratch plate, you can start to make more complex rhythms since your hand is already in a position to flick out for the strum. You should note that by finishing a strum by going further than the strings, you can then execute the snare sound as the fingertips hit the guitar. Here's something a little bit trickier. Try coming up with a couple of your own ideas as well, but remember, just keep things simple for now and take things slowly. So, what else can I do with my left hand other than hold a chord? Well, we're going to look at two possibilities in this lesson. Firstly, you can create a third hit by tapping either the left or the right shoulders of the guitar body. So let's try doing both. Obviously, as your left hand leaves the neck of the guitar, any chord you were holding will stop abruptly. Now this is where utilising the open strings effectively can really help out. In this example, by playing an A5 power chord on the kick, string 5 can keep vibrating as you reach for the shoulder hit. The second possibility is to use left hand tapping or hammer-ons with your fretting hand, so your right hand is now free from strumming and flicking. Here's an example using C, D and F notes on strings 5 and 4. Now each hand has a separate responsibility, so it might take a little time to find the coordination. Using this example, come up with as many different variations as you like with your own ideas to get familiar with the techniques and to encourage your own creative use of these ideas. You should practice slowly to start with, at maybe 60 or 80 BPM, before increasing tempo in 5 or 10 BPM increments, up to as fast as you feel comfortable. BPM is musical terminology for the speed of a piece of music, measured in beats per minute. Billie Jean, for example, is roughly 120 BPM. To finish off this lesson, here's an exercise based on Billie Jean by Michael Jackson. Your left hand plays the ostinato bass riff, and it keeps your hand working, while your right hand has to alternate between the kick and the snare sounds. And again, the coordination will need some patient work, and your left hand tapping should be clear and at a steady pace. Thank you for watching, and if you found this lesson helpful, please be sure to give us a rating and a comment before telling all your guitar playing friends to buy it too. More available lessons soon.